The crystalline spires of Haven City caught the light of 3 moons, casting prismatic shadows across the Grand Council chamber. Ambassador Lyra Valen stood before the Emergency Council, her silver-scaled skin reflecting the holographic display of destruction above. The images showed burning worlds, shattered colonies, and the ruthless advance of the Ravager Collective's fleet. 12 billion dead, Lyra's melodic voice carried the weight of unimaginable loss. 3 colony worlds reduced to ash in 15 days. Her four-fingered hand gestured at the tactical display, where red markers indicated the Ravager fleet's inexorable advance toward their homeworld. High Counselor Zena, her iridescent wings folded tightly against her back in distress, rose from her crystalline throne. The Ravagers refuse all attempts at negotiation. They responded to our peace offerings with plasma fire, Lyra confirmed, her secondary eyes closing in pain while her primary pair remained fixed on the council. The collective views our pacifism as weakness. To them, we are simply resources to be harvested. The council chamber, with its soaring architecture and living crystal walls that pulsed with soft light, had never felt so small. Around her, the 24 council members of the Celestian species whispered among themselves. Their people had known peace for 10,000 years, evolving on a world blessed with perfect conditions. The gentle gravity, stable climate, and absence of predators had allowed them to focus on art, science, and spiritual growth. Our defense ships are insufficient, Admiral Voss reported, his wings trembling. We converted research vessels and mining platforms into defensive units but against dedicated warships. He left the sentence unfinished. Everyone knew the odds. Lyra took a deep breath, her respiratory frills fluttering. Honorable Council, I have a proposal, one that many will find disturbing. High Counselor Zena gestured for her to continue, the gesture leaving trails of bioluminescence in the air. There is a world. Lyra activated a new hologram showing a star system far beyond the celestial expanse, beyond the Crimson Nebula. We've never contacted them because their planet is classified as a death world. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Death worlds were planets so hostile that most spacefaring races couldn't comprehend how life evolved there at all. Extreme gravity, violent weather, aggressive predators, and constant geological upheaval created species that were different. You cannot be serious, Counselor Maris protested, his wings flaring in agitation. Deathworlders are barbaric, violent, their very evolution demands it. And what are the Ravagers if not violent? Lyra countered. At least Deathworlders can be reasoned with. They form societies, create art, develop technology. Yes, they're physical powerhouses by our standards, but they're not mindless destroyers. High Counselor Zena studied the hologram. Tell us about this world. They call it Earth, Lyra brought up the data. Gravity 3.2 times our normal, atmospheric pressure high enough to crush a Celestian's lungs, temperature variations that would kill us in minutes, thousands of predatory species, natural disasters, and, she paused, they've survived multiple extinction-level events. And yet they achieved spaceflight. Admiral Voss leaned forward, suddenly interested. More than that, Lyra revealed. They've developed faster-than-light travel within the last year. Their first explorations are beginning now. Their technology is different from ours, more robust, built to withstand conditions we never imagined. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. A species that evolved on a death world would have advantages the Ravagers had never encountered. Their technology, their bodies, their very way of thinking would be shaped by survival against overwhelming odds. Show us their capabilities, Zena commanded. Lyra projected images of Earth's vessels. Where Celestian ships were graceful and elegant, these were angular, armored, built to endure punishment. Their ships are designed to withstand conditions that would tear our vessels apart. Their weapons, she displayed the analysis, are intended to function in environments that would disable our technology. And you believe they would help us? Counselor Maris asked, his tone softer now. We offer knowledge, cultural exchange, and friendship, Lyra said. They're an emerging spacefaring race. Access to our scientific database alone would advance their civilization by centuries. High Counselor Zena stood, her wings extending to their full span, casting shimmering patterns across the chamber. We face extinction. Our children die while we debate if there is even a chance these Deathworlders might help us. We must try. The vote was taken. In their 10,000 years of civilization, the Celestian Council had never called for military aid. They had never needed to. But now, facing annihilation, they would reach out to beings their ancestors had feared to contact. In the communications center of Haven City's highest spire, Lyra composed the message. It needed to be simple, clear, and honest. To the people of Earth, we are the Celestian Confederation, a peaceful civilization facing extinction at the hands of an aggressive force. We offer friendship, knowledge, and cultural exchange in return for aid. Our people die while we send this message. Please respond. The quantum transmission fired, crossing the vast distance between their worlds instantly. Lyra watched it go, her four eyes fixed on the star map showing Earth's location. Do you truly believe they'll come? Admiral Voss asked quietly. Lyra turned to him, her scales shifting color with emotion. We're about to find out what happens when angels call for demons. She looked back at the stars. And pray the demons prove kinder than the monsters at our door. In the following days, as the Ravager fleet drew ever closer, the Celestians waited. Their scientists monitored the quantum channels for a response, while their defense forces fought delaying actions against Ravager scouts. They had no way of knowing that their simple message was about to reach a species that had evolved not just to survive, but to triumph against impossible odds. Humanity was coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Marcus Rhodes stood in the command center of the EDF Stormbreaker, Earth's most advanced warship, as the quantum communication array buzzed with unprecedented activity. The massive viewscreen showed the alien message that had arrived just hours ago, its implications sending shockwaves through Earth's military and political establishment. Play it again, ordered Fleet Commander Diane Yang, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display. Around the command table, the ship's senior staff watched intently as the translated message repeated. Marcus studied the signal analysis. After decades of searching for alien life, humanity's first contact wasn't a greeting or a warning, it was a plea for help. The irony wasn't lost on him. Quantum Communications, Lieutenant Raj Patel, the ship's science officer, marveled. Their tech is centuries ahead of ours in some areas, but these readings from their region of space, he shook his head. The weapons being used against them are brutal, efficient. These Ravagers aren't leaving anything alive. Commander Yang's dark eyes narrowed. Our first instinct should be caution, this could be a trap. With respect, Commander, Marcus stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow over the tactical display. If they wanted to lure us into a trap, why present themselves as helpless? Any research into Earth would show we respond better to strength than weakness. Dr. Olivia Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, nodded in agreement. The message's authenticity markers are convincing. The linguistic patterns suggest a civilization unused to deception, and their description of themselves matches what we'd expect from a species evolved in low-stress conditions. The command center's atmosphere was tense with possibility. Humanity had built its fleet expecting eventual contact, but not like this. The Stormbreaker itself was a testament to human paranoia, 2 kilometers of armor, weapons, and engines powerful enough to tear space itself. What's Earth Command saying? Marcus asked, though he could guess the answer. Commander Yang activated a new hologram showing fleet movements across the solar system. They're mobilizing the first expeditionary fleet, 20 ships including the Stormbreaker as flagship. She paused, allowing a small smile. We're going to help them. Just like that, Lieutenant Patel asked, surprised. Just like that, Yang confirmed. Think about it. First contact with an advanced civilization offering to share technology, asking for our help against an aggressive force. It's everything we've prepared for, just not in the order we expected. Marcus walked to the viewport, watching Earth's orbital shipyards in the distance. We built these ships because we feared what might be out there. Now we find there are worse things in the galaxy than us. He turned back to the crew, and someone needs our help. The next 48 hours were a blur of activity. The Stormbreaker's crew of 1,200 prepared for humanity's first interstellar war, while additional ships arrived from across the solar system. Each vessel was a unique blend of power and precision, designed to operate in conditions that would crush most alien ships. In his quarters, Marcus reviewed the tactical briefings. The Celestians' transmission had included detailed data about their attackers. The Ravager Collective's ships were impressive, but they had a critical weakness. They'd never faced an enemy evolved on a heavy-gravity world. Captain to the bridge, the intercom announced. Final fleet assembly is beginning. On the bridge, Marcus found organized chaos. Officers coordinated with other ships' check systems and prepared for humanity's first faster-than-light jump as a battle fleet. Through the view screen, he watched as other vessels took formation, destroyers, cruisers, and support ships, each built to human specifications. Fleet Command is transmitting the response message to the Celestians, Communications Officer Jessica Wung reported. They should receive it any moment. Marcus nodded, imagining the aliens' reaction to humanity's reply. Message received. Help is coming. 20 warships dispatched. Hold position. Engineering reports FTL drives charged and synchronized across the fleet, Lieutenant Patel announced. All ships report ready. Commander Yang stood beside Marcus, her uniform crisp despite the long hours. The Admiralty's given us significant latitude in this operation, Captain. They understand we'll be making first contact history. Along with possibly fighting our first interstellar war, Marcus added, he activated the ship's internal communications. All hands, this is the captain. In 5 minutes we jump into unknown territory to defend a civilization we've never met against an enemy we've never faced. He paused, choosing his words carefully. They called us because they believe we can help. They called us because they knew what we are, creatures forged in the crucible of a world that tried to kill us every day of our evolution. We emerged stronger. Now we'll show the galaxy what humanity can do when someone needs our help. The bridge crew straightened at their stations. Humans had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they weren't, and their first act would be to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Fleet reports ready, Wung announced. Jump coordinates locked. Marcus settled into his command chair. Signal the fleet, we jump in 3, 2, 1. Space twisted around 20 human warships, reality bending as humanity's children of steel and storm launched themselves across the galaxy. In the darkness between stars, human vessels built to endure the impossible carried their crews toward their first alien war. The Ravager Collective was about to learn why Deathworlders were feared across the galaxy. They were about to discover that humanity's ships, like humanity itself, were designed not just to survive, but to prevail against any odds. As the fleet entered FTL, Marcus thought about the Celestians' message. They had called for help from beings they feared might be as dangerous as their enemies. What they didn't understand was that humans were more than just survivors of a death world. They were its conquerors. And now the galaxy would learn what that meant. Admiral Janice Martinez watched the tactical display aboard the EDF Stormbreaker's Combat Information Center as the human fleet emerged from FTL. The scene before them was apocalyptic. The remains of Celestian ships drifted through space, their crystalline hulls shattered by weapons designed for wholesale slaughter. Multiple Ravager signatures detected, Lieutenant Patel reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. 87 vessels in attack formation around the third moon of Haven. They're bombarding Celestian defense platforms. Martinez's scarred face hardened. In her 30 years of service, she'd simulated countless first contact scenarios. None had begun with immediate combat. Signal the fleet, battle plan Prometheus. Captain Rhodes, your ship has point. Marcus Rhodes acknowledged from the bridge above. The Stormbreaker's massive engines flared to life, leading the human armada toward their first interstellar battle. Around them, 19 warships moved with practiced precision, their formation designed for maximum defensive coverage while maintaining overwhelming offensive capability. Celestian transmission incoming, Communications Officer Wung announced. They're in shock, Admiral. They can't believe we actually came. Show me their command center, Martinez ordered. The hologram shifted, revealing Ambassador Lyra Vallon and several Celestian military officers. Their alien features showed clear signs of stress, wings pulled tight, scales shifting through anxious colors. By the first light, Lyra breathed, her 4 eyes wide. Your ships, they're larger than we imagined, more heavily armed than anything we've ever built. Ambassador, Martinez spoke clearly, we need your people to fall back. What you're about to see isn't something you should witness up close. Before Lyra could respond, tactical alarms blared. Ravager fleet is responding, Patel reported. They're breaking off their attack on the moon, 30 vessels moving to intercept. Martinez smiled grimly. The Ravagers had never encountered humans before. They were about to learn why evolution on a death world created warriors unlike anything they'd ever faced. Launch Thunderbirds, she commanded. Space rippled as squadrons of fighter craft emerged from the human ship's launch bays. Unlike the sleek Celestian vessels or the brutal Ravager ships, human fighters were compact, heavily armored, and designed to operate in conditions that would crush most alien craft. The Ravager ships fired first, energy weapons lashing out across space. But they'd made a critical mistake. Their weapons were calibrated for Celestian shields, designed to overcome defenses evolved in a gentle environment. Shields holding at 98%, Patel reported, almost sounding disappointed. Their energy weapons are inefficient in vacuum. They rely on atmospheric conversion for maximum effect. Martinez nodded. Show them how we do it on Earth. All ships weapons free, Thunderbirds commence attack pattern Delta 6. Human warships opened fire. Rail guns accelerated projectiles to relativistic speeds, while plasma cannons launched artificial suns at the enemy fleet. The Thunderbird fighters darted between larger vessels, their pilots pulling maneuvers that would kill any non-human crew. In the Celestian Command Center, Lyra and her staff watched in stunned silence. Where their battles were usually fought at long range with energy weapons, humans closed to point-blank range. The Stormbreaker itself plowed through debris fields that would have shattered Celestian ships, its reinforced hull shrugging off impacts that spoke to its Death World origins. 4th Squadron reporting kill, Wung announced. Ravager destroyer neutralized, 5th Squadron has disabled 2 more. The battle quickly became a slaughter. Ravager ships, accustomed to terrorizing peaceful species, found themselves facing an enemy that treated combat as an art form. Human vessels took hits that would have vaporized Celestian ships, then returned fire with weapons designed to function in Earth's crushing gravity. Enemy fleet is attempting to regroup, Patel reported. They're falling back to their main force. Pursuit course, Martinez ordered. Don't let them warn the others. Captain Rhodes, prepare for close quarters engagement. The Stormbreaker's massive form accelerated, its engines pushing it to speeds that stressed even its reinforced frame. Marcus Rhodes' voice came over the command channel. All hands brace for impact. What followed would be studied in military academies for generations. The Stormbreaker, flagship of humanity's first interstellar fleet, demonstrated why Deathworld engineering was feared across the galaxy. It rammed through a Ravager cruiser's shields, the impact alone destroying the enemy vessel. As it emerged from the debris field, its broadside batteries opened up, catching 2 more Ravager ships in a crossfire that turned them into expanding clouds of plasma. By all that's sacred, a Celestian officer whispered over the still-open channel, they're not just fighting, they're hunting. Martinez understood their shock. The Celestians had evolved to seek harmony. Humans had evolved to overcome, to survive, to dominate. Every aspect of their ships, their tactics, their very nature reflected this difference. Enemy fleet is in full retreat, Patel announced. 17 vessels destroyed, 13 disabled. No casualties on our side. Minor damage to outer hull plating on 3 ships. The Admiral turned to the Celestian transmission. Ambassador Lyra, your system is secure for now, but the main Ravager fleet will know what happened here soon. We need to prepare your people for what comes next. Lyra's scales had shifted to a color humans would later learn meant mixed with fear. What are you? Martinez's response was calm, but her eyes held the fire of a species that had clawed its way up from the mud of a hostile world. We're human, Ambassador, and we're here to teach the galaxy why that means something. The battle was over, but its impact rippled across space. The Ravager Collective had just learned that their reign of terror had met its match. Somewhere in the void, their main fleet received word that the impossible had happened. Their advance force had been decimated by ships from a death world. In Haven's orbital command center, Celestian leaders watched the human fleet regroup with a mixture of relief and trepidation. They had called for help from beings they thought might be dangerous. Instead, they had awakened something far more profound, a species that had turned the very hardships of their evolution into strengths. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was leading that change with steel, fire, and the indomitable spirit of a death world's children. Chief Engineer Kira Patel stood in Haven City's largest engineering facility, surrounded by wide-eyed Celestian technicians. The crystalline walls pulsed with a soft light that still took some getting used to, but after 3 weeks of working alongside these peaceful beings, she was starting to understand their technology's elegant efficiency. The problem isn't your hardware, she explained, her holographic display showing schematics of Celestian defense systems. Your energy manipulation is actually more advanced than ours, but you've designed everything with peace in mind, even your weapons. Head engineer Varix, his iridescent wings slightly unfolded in curiosity, gestured at the display. We modified mining lasers and atmospheric processors for defense. Was this inadequate? Kira smiled, remembering her first reaction to their weapons. It's not about adequacy, Varix, it's about purpose. Watch this. She pulled up footage from the recent battle. See how your lasers disperse energy evenly, perfect for mining, terrible for combat. You're trying to minimize collateral damage even while fighting. Is that not desirable? Another Celestian engineer asked, her scales shifting to a curious purple. In mining, absolutely. In combat, Kira shook her head. When you fight, you need focused damage. Here, let me show you something from Earth's history. The display changed to show ancient human warriors. Even before we had technology, we understood the principle of concentrated force. A knife is deadlier than a club because it focuses pressure on a single point. We're going to apply that same principle to your defense systems. Across Haven City, similar scenes played out as humans taught their hard-won knowledge to the Celestians. In the Military Command Center, Commander Viktor Volkov of Earth's Special Forces worked with Celestian defense coordinators. Your strategic thinking is too linear, he explained, his Russian accent thick with passion. You position defenses where you would attack, but the Ravagers don't think like you, and neither do we. Admiral Voss, his wings twitching with newfound understanding, studied the tactical simulations. You're suggesting we position our forces not where we expect attack, but where we would hide if we were hunting them, Victor finished. On Earth, predators learn to anticipate prey, then predators learn to anticipate other predators. We're teaching you to think like hunters. In the medical wing, Dr. Olivia Chen worked with Celestian biochemists, her excitement barely contained. Your healing technology is incredible, she exclaimed, examining their regeneration chambers. But again, it's designed for peaceful accidents. We need to modify these for combat trauma. Head healer Zara, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence, watched as Dr. Chen recalibrated the equipment. Your species recovers from injuries that would kill us. Your medical technology reflects this. Necessity breeds innovation, Olivia replied. Earth's gravity means broken bones are common. Predators meant deep wounds were normal. We had to learn to heal fast or die. Now we're teaching you to do the same. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening in the cultural exchange centers. Captain Marcus Rhodes stood before a group of young Celestians, their wings and scales showing a rainbow of emotional colors as he spoke about Earth. Your world nurtured you, he explained. Ours tried to kill us. Every day was a fight for survival against gravity, weather, predators, disease. We didn't just survive, we learned to thrive on challenge. Ambassador Lyra, watching from the back of the room, felt her scales shift to the deep blue of revelation. You're not teaching us to be violent, she realized aloud. You're teaching us to be resilient. Marcus nodded. Violence is just a tool, and often the least effective one. What we're really teaching you is how to think like a species that never had the luxury of peace. Because sometimes, understanding the predator is the key to surviving it. In the engineering bay of the Stormbreaker, Kira worked late into the night with her Celestian counterparts, modifying their defense platforms. The changes were remarkable. Crystalline technology, merged with human combat principles, created weapons of unprecedented precision and power. I still don't understand something, Varix said, his wings casting shifting shadows. Your species clearly values peace. Your art, your music, your philosophy, they're as rich as ours, yet you never forgot how to fight. Kira paused in her work, considering. On Earth, we have a saying, si vis pacem para bellum. It means if you want peace, prepare for war. We don't fight because we love violence. We fight because we love peace enough to defend it. The changes weren't just technological. Celestians began incorporating human exercise routines adapted for their physiology, learning to use their natural gifts in new ways. Their wings, evolved for display and gentle flight in low gravity, were now being used for tactical advantage. Their ability to change scale color, once purely emotional, was developed into a sophisticated communication system. In the combat simulation chambers, Victor watched with pride as Celestian pilots executed maneuvers they would have thought impossible weeks ago. They weren't trying to match human capabilities. They were learning to use their own strengths in ways they'd never imagined. They're natural artists, he commented to Admiral Martinez during a progress review. They see patterns we miss, think in dimensions we barely grasp. We're not turning them into warriors, we're showing them how to use their gifts to defend themselves. Martinez watched as a Celestian defense squadron executed a perfectly coordinated maneuver, using their natural grace and sensitivity to energy fields to predict and counter simulated Ravager attacks. They're learning faster than we expected. Because they're not fighting their nature, Victor replied. They're finally understanding that being peaceful doesn't mean being helpless. As the fourth week of training drew to a close, the combined human-Celestian fleet ran its first joint exercise. The result was beautiful and terrifying. Celestian ships moved with impossible grace, their modified weapons precisely targeting weak points identified by human tactical analysis. Human vessels provided the anchor, their massive bulk and devastating firepower complementing Celestian precision. In Haven City's central spire, Ambassador Lyra stood with Captain Rhodes, watching the exercise through the crystal walls. "We feared that contact with Deathworlders would corrupt us," she admitted. "Instead, you've shown us that strength and peace aren't opposites, they're companions." Marcus smiled. "Just in time, too. Our long-range sensors show the main Ravager fleet is regrouping. They'll be here within days and they'll bring everything they have." Lyra's scales shifted to the steel gray of determination, a color she'd learned from watching human soldiers. "Let them come. We're ready to show them that even angels can learn to bite." The galaxy was about to witness something unprecedented. The combination of Celestian grace and human ferocity, peace and power, art and war. The Ravager Collective had no idea what they were about to face. The combined fleet hung in the void above Haven, a sight that defied conventional military wisdom. Celestian vessels, their crystalline hulls now reinforced with Earth-inspired armor, moved in perfect formation with humanity's warships. What had begun as a desperate call for help had evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history, the marriage of grace and power, art and war. Admiral Martinez stood on the Stormbreaker's bridge, watching the tactical display as the massive Ravager fleet emerged from FTL. 300 warships strong, they had brought enough firepower to annihilate a dozen peaceful civilizations. "They still think they're hunting prey," she said, a cold smile playing across her scarred face. "Time to show them what happens when prey learns to hunt back." Captain Rhodes nodded from his command chair. "All ships battle positions, execute Operation Thunderstorm." The human Celestian fleet split into three groups, a maneuver that would have seemed suicidal against such overwhelming numbers. But this was no desperate last stand. It was a trap centuries in the making, even if the trappers hadn't known it until now. Ambassador Lyra's voice came through the command channel from Haven's Defense Center. "All Celestian ships report ready, energy matrix synchronization at maximum efficiency." Her voice carried none of the fear it had held weeks ago. Initiating Phase 1. The Ravager fleet launched their first assault exactly as predicted, a massive wave of energy weapons designed to overwhelm shields through sheer volume of fire. But they were firing at where Celestian ships used to be, not where humans had taught them to go. The crystalline vessels moved like living things, using their natural affinity for energy fields to dodge most of the barrage. What hits they did take were absorbed by their modified shields, human brutality merged with Celestian elegance. "Now," Martinez ordered, "show them what angels can do when demons teach them to dance." Celestian ships executed their attack with devastating precision. Their weapons, once mining tools modified for defense, had been transformed by human engineering into something terrifying. Beams of concentrated energy struck with surgical accuracy, targeting weak points in Ravager shields that only beings evolved for energy manipulation could detect. "First wave of Ravager ships showing critical shield failures," Lieutenant Patel reported. "Their defensive algorithms can't adapt to the new attack patterns." Commander Viktor Volkov's voice cut through the tactical channel from his position coordinating fighter squadrons. "Thunderbird and Starweaver squadrons commence attack pattern Valkyrie." Human and Celestian fighters moved together in ways that seemed to deny physics. The Celestians' natural grace combined with human aggression created combat patterns the Ravagers couldn't predict. Ships that had evolved for peace now moved with deadly purpose, guided by pilots who had learned to channel their artistic precision into warfare. In Haven's command center, Chief Engineer Kira Patel worked with Varix and their combined team, monitoring the battle through their enhanced sensor network. "Energy matrix holding stable," Varix reported, his wings vibrating with focused intensity. Initiating Haven's defense grid. The planet's crystalline defense platforms, redesigned with human principles, came to life. What had once been atmospheric regulators now projected fields of concentrated force, creating killing zones that trapped Ravager ships between human warships and Celestian precision strikes. "They're trying to regroup," Martinez observed. "Just as we planned, Captain Rhodes, is the Stormbreaker ready?" "Born ready, Admiral," Rhodes turned to his crew. "All hands prepare for maximum combat velocity. Show them why Earth's children rule the storm." The Stormbreaker, humanity's flagship, moved with impossible speed for its size. The massive vessel had been modified with Celestian energy manipulation systems, allowing it to cut through space in ways its designers had never imagined. It struck the center of the Ravager fleet like an angry god's hammer. "Multiple direct hits," Patel announced. "Their command and control structure is fragmenting." The Ravager fleet, for the first time in their history of conquest, began to break. They had come expecting to find weak prey defended by mysterious Deathworlders. Instead, they found themselves caught between humanity's raw power and the deadly precision of a peaceful species that had learned to turn its greatest strengths into weapons. "They're running," someone announced, and a cheer went up across the command channel. But Martinez wasn't finished. "All ships execute final phase, don't let them escape to threaten anyone else." What followed would be remembered in galactic history as the Hour of Crystal Thunder. Human warships herded the fleeing Ravagers into killing zones, while Celestian vessels struck with perfect precision. Ships that survived found themselves trapped in energy fields that turned their own power against them. When it was over, the vast Ravager fleet had been reduced to scattered debris and disabled vessels. The combined human-Celestian fleet had suffered damage but no losses, a testament to the power of combining human resilience with Celestian precision. In the aftermath, as rescue operations began, Ambassador Lyra stood in the Stormbreaker's observation deck with Captain Rhodes and Admiral Martinez, watching salvage teams at work. "We did more than win a battle today," Lyra said, her scales shifting through colors of wonder and pride. "We proved that peace and strength aren't opposites, that being capable of violence doesn't mean being ruled by it." Martinez nodded. "Your people learn to fight without losing who they are. That's a harder victory than anything we achieved in space today." "And you," Lyra turned to them, "you taught us that coming from a death world doesn't make you demons. It makes you survivors, protectors." "Speaking of protection," Rhodes said, bringing up a tactical display, "we're picking up transmissions from other systems. Word of this battle is spreading. Several civilizations under Ravager threat are requesting similar assistance." Lyra's scales shifted to a new color, one that humans would later learn meant determined hope. "Then we will answer them together. We will show the galaxy that when angels learn from demons and demons remember their humanity, something new is born." Martinez smiled, "A partnership between heaven and hell." "No," Lyra replied, her four eyes bright with purpose. "A promise to the galaxy. That peace isn't weakness, that strength isn't cruelty, and that sometimes the fiercest defenders of harmony are those who had to fight hardest to achieve it." As the combined fleet regrouped around Haven, preparing for their next mission, the galaxy watched and wondered. The Ravager Collective's reign of terror had been broken not just by humanity's strength, but by what happened when Death World warriors taught peaceful beings to dance with thunder. A new age was beginning, one where the children of harsh worlds and gentle stars would work together, protecting the galaxy not through fear, but through the perfect balance of peace and power, grace and steel, art and war. The demons had taught angels to fight, and the angels had taught demons to create. Together, they would forge a future where neither heaven nor hell would reign supreme, but where both would stand guard over the harmony they had built together.